Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have seen episode 5 of The Acolyte yet, but yo. That's my Jawn! Hey, yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. You're tasting things that don't need to be measured. You ain't being What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I am your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. LeJawn James, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I have a fantastic chat with singer, songwriter, filmmaker Paige Stark. I have been wanting to chat with Paige ever since I got to listen to an advance copy of her latest EP, Good at Love, and I am so glad we were finally able to make that happen. We talk about her EP, her life in music and film, the Love LA compilation that was released on Record Store Day, and so much more. And that is coming up in a minute here. But first, what's new, pussycats? Hope you are all ready for a nice abbreviated week thanks to the celebration of our nation's independence. Heck yeah, it's the 4th of July, and that means cookouts and fireworks and me dressing like an absolute dickhead, decked from head to toe in the reddest, whitest, and bluest outfit I can put together. Big fan of any holiday that is dedicated to eating and watching things blow up. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies indeed. Played at Tex-Mex this weekend, and it hit me while prepping for this gig that this is the 25th year of me playing there. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it in the past, but that was the place where the stage persona, that is Nate Runkle or Nate 3.0 or whatever you want to call me, that's where it all started. You know, I found myself there, who I am on stage and who I could be. So it's cool to still get to play these gigs there from time to time every summer. The video from the live stream should still be up on the Facebook page and on the YouTube account if you want to check it out and see what a Tex Sunday patio hang is like. Always a great time to see old friends, you know, so many old friends. Shouts out to Sharon and Andrew and Jen and the kids and Pete and Pat. Oh my God, good times. Well, what else since last we spoke? Oh, I got to guest on the Your Next Favorite Band show with my homie Phil. That was so much fun. It's always odd for me to sit in the passenger seat and not have to worry about tapping the brakes or turning the wheel, but Phil runs such a great show and I had a wonderful time. I also got to play a song, so go seek that out. I'll throw a link to it in the show notes for you. Lastly, guys, you know the routine. Follow us on the socials at Yo That's My Jawn, all of them. If we're not on the social you're looking for, you tell me and we will be there. You can also visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com and hit up the link tree that will direct you to all things Nate and Yo That's My Jawn. You get my appearances on other shows. You got links to the other 2 podcasts that I'm involved with. You got links to the mailing list, to the merchandise, to all the previous episodes of this show, and more. So yeah, www.yothat'smyjawn.com. Hit it up. And if you could be so kind, rate, review, and subscribe to this show. Make a guy feel like someone's listening. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. My guest today is an LA-based singer, songwriter, filmmaker who has taken a break from her band Tashaki Miyake to release the solo EP, Good at Love, a masterful 4-song EP recorded in collaboration with John Bryan. She also recently curated and produced the Record Store Day compilation Love LA, duets and covers from the City of Angels, featuring unique takes on classics from artists like R.E.M., Velvet Underground, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and more. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show, Paige Stark. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined today by the great Paige Stark. Paige, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Thank you for having me.
So, you might have heard this in the Too Old, Too New podcast that I do with Bruce Warren, but when Pamela sent through the press release for the Good at Love EP, and I saw that there was a Harry Nilsson cover on it, I emailed her and I said, who do I have to arm wrestle to hear this right now? Because I can't wait till June. This was like back in April, I think. And she
That
was
is
like,
so.
she was like, I can send it to you, and I was like, oh, please do. And like, I've been obsessed with it ever since. Like, I'm a big Harry Nilsson guy, and then just the EP in general is just absolutely stellar.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet to hear. I'm excited to put out music. I have been recording solo music since 2015, and it's just different hiccups came up that like prevented the whole record from coming out. So I'm just figuring out now like how to put out the I have 10 songs new, aside from what I just put out. So I have
Oh
a full
wow.
record. And um to speak to the Harry Nilsson, yeah, I my dad got me into Harry Nilsson when I was very young, like probably like 2 or 3. He was, showing me the point. I had a VHS tape. I had I had like a little uh record. I had one of those little portable record players, and I actually burned the record out. Like I played it so many times that I had to get a second copy. Also, I was really little, so I was probably rough, with the needle. But so yeah, I still have those. I have two copies. My dad used to take me to Tower Records when I was really small and let me pick stuff out. And another fun story about that is that I was really into the Labyrinth. And so, like, I knew that that was David Bowie. This is like, I'm like 4 years old. I'm like in preschool. And my dad was like, okay, you can pick a record. And so I chose Hunky Dory just because he looks pretty on the cover. And like, I don't think my dad's like a real Bowie head. I don't think he had really listened to that record. But so that was in my collection as a small child. Gareth slash David Bowie.
That's amazing. See, we have this weird. We're gonna have the. We seemingly have this weird connection because my dad is the one who turned me onto Harry Nilsson. Nielsen Schmielsen was like his favorite album. And I now he passed away, and I now own his copy. It's upstairs, and it's like my
Aw.
most prized possession. And my first two concerts were David Bowie because my parents were big Bowie fans, and Hunky Dory is my favorite Bowie album.
That's my
So
favorite.
it's just great, right? Like it's like I feel
Yes.
like the songwriter Bowie comes out really strong on that album.
Yeah, my first concert was John Prine, and my dad took me to that. And I think it was at the Wiltern. I'm pretty sure that's where we were. And I mean, I was so little. I think again, I was like 2 or 3, and my memory is like falling asleep in my dad's arms. So I was small enough that I could be held, but I was really verbal, so I have memories that go far back. But like the John Prine was a really that one was an easy sell for me because you can understand how that lands with kids. Like his music
Sure.
kid friendly. And Woody Guthrie, my dad, I was really into this song called the Car Song. I don't know if you know Woody Guthrie, but it's the lyric is like, let's go for a ride in the car. So, obviously, oh, my light just went out. Obviously that makes sense. Is it okay that that went out? Like, is
Yeah,
this
it's
vision
fine. I never, I for this show, I never really use the video.
video? Okay.
Occasionally I do social clips and
Charge
stuff like
that
that.
guy. Should have charged that light overnight. Oops.
But so you're touching upon it here. But where did you grow up? Like when you were a kid, where were you from?
I was born in Laguna Beach and grew up down in South Orange County by the beach. And my parents are retired public educators, so I had a pretty, middle class, chill life. My dad's really into music. My memory of my mom, she listened to K Earth 101. Um, so that was like heavy, and she loves Elvis and the Beatles. Like that's kind of, and weirdly, like it's not just a seasonal thing for her. She loves Christmas music. So she listens to Christmas music like all throughout the year. She's one of those Christmas people. So yeah, and yeah, it was I think I had a relatively classic suburban childhood, like as far as that goes, is seemed pretty regular.
Yeah. Your dad being into music, did he play any or just as a listener?
He used to play guitar and sing with me when I was a kid. Like he would, like I was saying, he would play like that Woody Guthrie song that I was really into, the car song. And he really loves Bob Dylan. So I have his guitar now. He gave it to me. It's just like a nylon string guitar. And his brother was a blues musician. He played bass, and both my parents are from LA. So like my dad's brother like hung out with like Ray Manzarek and the Doors guys. And he was in that scene. And yeah, but my dad never played music professionally. He's really artsy though. He's really good at drawing, and he's really creative. He paints. And his mom was like that too. His mom is the one who taught me piano, and she was really also the same way, like very creative, could do like kind of do anything. She was one of those ladies that could do everything.
Yeah.
Have a garden, bake a pie, draw, play piano, sing, sew stuff, you know.
Yeah. From a creativity standpoint, what came first, music or film for you? Like what were you drawn to more, or both simultaneous?
I think it's pretty simultaneous because I think that for me, like music and film are so connected because to me, film is this medium where all the things I love are in one place. Like it's storytelling, it's music, it's visuals, you know. I was kind of raised on MTV. I started watching MTV when I was really little, like, you know, 3 years old, something like that. I got really obsessed, and it was like all I would watch. Sometimes I'd pop over to VH1, but like MTV was my home base. And, you know, back then the videos were pretty epic. I'm sure you remember. And so they were like little movies. And I think that that was my first, you know, connection of music and visuals being this really powerful thing. I was really, really into those Aerosmith videos. As a little girl, like the crazy one with, I loved that. It really, that one struck me, and all the Nirvana videos. I mean, I was just so like, and I loved the Bjork Human Nature, you know, like there's certain ones that really like stand out in my mind. And Oh So Quiet, that video of Bjork. And then you know, they on VH1 they would have like the 80s video. They would do like the throwback ones. And I remember the Talking Heads. I mean, I was just absorbing all this stuff as a small kid, and I didn't really know what was popular. And you know, you just don't know anything when you're a kid. You're just like, okay, you're just really truly responding. I loved Madonna, Michael Jackson. I don't know. I was very into that. So I think that was the first thing. And then I don't know. I was always into movies. I just I think it was a very simultaneous thing because I loved both things from a really early age. Those were like my obsessions, like movies and music and books. Like I didn't have a lot of I was never into sports. Didn't have a lot of other interests. It's kind of stayed the same.
No, it makes sense. Like, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, am an enormous film fan and always have been. I kind of got that from my aunt. Like, I don't know if you remember, like around the same time that laser discs came out, there was another format. They were called video discs, and they were kind of like these plastic. Like almost like an album sized piece of plastic that you put in a machine, and it kind of spit this disc out.
I mean, Laserdisc is such a vague memory in my mind. I think that just didn't. It was like it's like Laserdisc and what were those like mini? Was it a mini disc? There was those audio players that were like
the mini discs.
Yeah, those both all those formats were so short lived. Like they just didn't have a long endurance in them.
Yeah.
But I remember them.
My aunt had a video disc player, and she was like, I don't know if it was like Columbia House or what, but she always just was always getting movies in, and I was always just over there and watching movies that, at the time didn't make any sense to me. And like, I go back and I look at some of the stuff that I was like obsessively watching as a kid, and I'm just like, why was I watching? Like, what kid got into, but that
No,
kind
it's
of,
true. My dad let me watch Twin Peaks as a very small child.
yeah,
So I think that like rewired my brain. But
it's
I
like,
loved it, and he loved it too. And it's funny because he's kind of I was raised Catholic, and he's a pretty he's a pretty conservative guy, but he had no restrictions with me about like artsy things. Like it's funny because he like that was okay, but like he didn't love me watching things like Beavis and Butthead or
mm,
The Simpsons, but like Twin Peaks was okay.
yeah, so
So
high art, I get it.
high
Like,
art had a different place. I think he just didn't really understand that those other things are high art because
sure,
it didn't. I think he doesn't understand animation
that makes
and its
sense.
place in the zeitgeist. But I don't know.
But
I feel
he did turn you onto the point though. So
yeah, that's
so
true. But that's like for I think he thought that was for kids.
okay. Yeah,
Like adult animation, I think doesn't make sense to him.
I got
Because
you.
The Simpsons is really for adults. I mean, even though a lot of kids watched it, but I think it was a really, I mean, the character that I connected to and that I was really into was Lisa. And she's such a, I mean, she's a great example. She's a great inspiration for a little girl.
Yeah.
Lisa's cool.
I feel like I feel like kids need a character like that. Like for me, one of my favorite cartoon characters growing up was Linus. And
Oh
I heard
yeah.
Charles Schulz say something about why he created that character, which was that he wanted a character that was the most philosophical of all of them, but still needed a security blanket, which
Oh,
I just
that's
thought
so
was so
sweet.
beautiful, right? Like,
Peanuts is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I loved Lisa Simpson so much that I took up the saxophone. Like I
really?
played the saxophone in elementary school. It was short-lived because I think my mom was like, "This is kind of loud. Let's." I got moved over to the flute because it's a little quieter and also easier for a small person to carry.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I did. I took up the sax. I was just, she was a good student. So I was really motivated by Lisa Simpson.
It's a good guy. It's a good idol to have, man. Like
I agree. She's awesome. She's a feminist.
yeah, and like one of the other things that I love about that character is just that like I feel like it perfectly also encapsulates like the frustration of being the
The
person
black
who
sheep in
actually
your family.
yeah, exactly,
But Marge is pretty cool too.
yeah,
The women in The Simpsons are like, I mean, it's that show is so jam-packed. We'd have a whole podcast about The Simpsons, obviously. It's like such an amazing series and so I mean, it's high art, I think, The Simpsons. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially like some of the earlier kind of satirical takes on things are just they're so strong.
Yeah.
And even now, like I know people say The Simpsons fell off, but every season they'll have like one or two episodes that'll completely knock me off my feet. Like it still has its moments. It still has its place.
For sure. I mean, look, I love animation, so I love The Simpsons, I love South Park, I love like the weird shit on Adult Swim. I mean, I get into things. And
Yeah,
MTV was sort of the opening for me because I liked the original Eon Flux and some of the weird stuff they would have on late night on MTV was cool. It was a really, I mean, MTV. I know people that are older than me, and they're like, "Oh, you missed out on the prime MTV when it first started." And I'm like, whatever. I still had it before the reality TV set in. So to me, that I still was experiencing really cool music programming.
yeah. I mean, even through like the late '90s, it still had its
Yeah, the
place.
original Real World was like not, it actually felt kind of documentary and new and interesting. And it wasn't about, capturing drama. It was really about like kind of telling the story of these people that were, that moment in time with these Gen Xers.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's
wasn't
great.
into it, but I appreciated it as like oh my dog, he's so crazy. Here, go play with him. I have one mellow dog and one crazy dog.
Yeah. So when did you start kind of writing music? Like when did
I started writing music like in high school, but I wasn't confident enough to show anybody or do anything with it. And I was always kind of writing short stories and poetry and like so my writer brain was always on. Um, and then like basically in like my early 20s, I started performing. And that started with like me singing harmony with other people or like playing covers in different I was kind of gigging around LA doing experimenting with different things. And then I got offered to open for somebody saw me singing in this at the Standard Hotel in West Hollywood. They used to pay you pretty good to like sing in the lobby. So I would just play covers and some guy saw me singing and asked me to open at the El Rey. And I didn't have enough songs to even play a set. So I did it, but it was I mostly played covers and I think I was probably pretty bad. And after that I was like, okay, I gotta get serious.
yeah.
So I started playing under my name and I started writing songs like more seriously then, like trying to really, do it. And then I started a different band that was called Stone Darling. And that was a kind of short-lived thing. I kind of want to bring it back. I have an affinity for Stone Darling, and we never really reached our full potential. But it was cool. It was like three-part harmony. It was a girl band. And then that kind of imploded, and then Tashaki happened. And but all the time I was writing songs that were kind of going to be for my solo thing. It's funny, I started with Paige Stark and then went through all these bands and now I'm doing Paige Stark again. But yeah, so I guess I started seriously writing songs like in my early 20s.
Okay. Around that time, this was something I just learned that is another not a connection because like I interview a lot of people, but used to sing with a former guest of the show, Taylor from Dawes. I hear.
Yeah, Taylor Goldsmith. Yeah, that's he. I was actually singing with him at that Standard show. We only did a couple gigs together, but there was one gig that we did at Tangier, and it was me, Taylor Goldsmith, and Alex Greenwald from Phantom Planet. And this is like another twist of fate is how I kind of met everyone in the LA music scene was when I was a teenager, I was cast in a music video that Roman Coppola directed for Phantom Planet, the original lineup of Phantom Planet. And so I met those guys, and Alex kind of took me under his wing and introduced me to all these people. So I met like, all these people in bands like Rilo Kiley and like a lot of the Saddle Creek people I met at that time. And I didn't know that I wanted to do music necessarily, but it was exciting to meet all these creative people who were doing stuff and going to shows and just like, meeting a lot of creative people because I had never been around so many creative people before, it was really exciting. So yeah, that gig at Tangier was me, Alex, and Taylor, and it was like we were singing three-part harmony. I don't even remember what songs we were doing. I think we were doing covers and Taylor's songs, and maybe we did Alex's songs. I don't know. You'd have to ask them, but I don't really remember. I just remember it sounded really good, like our vocal blend. And there was a lot of people at the show, and other people were asking me to sing with them from that show, and that was exciting because I grew up singing harmony, and I didn't know that was like a thing that was like special or hard to do because I was always in choir and stuff. So I just thought everyone, who cares? It's not a big deal. Turns out it's a big deal.
I was in a two-piece vocal harmony thing. It was me and my friend Jenna, and she would always get mad at me because she would always be like, you're singing my part again, because I can't do it. And it would always be if I'm doing backup, like I can sing the melody line perfectly fine, but if I'm trying to harmonize as a backup singer, forget about it. I just can't do it. Like my brain
I was really into harmony singing. I was into like the barbershop stuff and the like Andrews Sisters, and those vocal arrangements on those 30s and 40s records are pretty insane.
Yeah.
uh, for freshmen. I don't know. I was into all that stuff. So that was just something. I mean, Harry Nilsson has a lot of really cool vocal arrangements. So I don't know. I just always loved harmony. It just appealed to me.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, like it's one of those things I've always been drawn to, and it's one of the things that frustrates me because as much as I love it, I just like I can't do it myself. It's one of those things. Whereas I can like kind of put it together and have somebody else do it for me, which
I
is the
see.
weird. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
same.
mean it's challenging. You have to like it's weird. I think my brain goes into a different mode. You have to like if you're a person who listens for melody, when you do harmony singing, you have to kind of like go into it, like switch it into a different mode. Like a
Absolutely.
I kind of I don't know, my brain goes into like a it's like a tunnel vision and I'm like just hearing my part and listening for blend. It's like really different than when you're singing lead.
The one thing I do think now, I mean, like when I did this, this was like probably 15 years ago or something like that. But now, like if I had like a good pair of in-ear monitors, I think I could probably do it. It's just I literally have to block out everybody else's voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that
It's so
tunnel
hard
thing
to
makes
hear on
sense.
stage. I got to get in your monitors. Even for the small gigs, I mean, it's never great on stage.
Yeah, yeah.
Sound is
The
never good. You never can hear as much as you need to.
It's so true. Yeah, but yeah, harmony. So like I was a big still am a big Beach Boys and Brian Wilson guy. Graham
Yeah.
Parsons and Emmylou Harris is like the gold
Yes.
standard to me. Like that's
I love
everything I
them.
wanted. Yeah.
Absolutely.
One of the other things I learned was because I was going to ask where the Tashaki name came from, and I just heard recently where it came from, and that's amazing. First of all, because I can't tell you how many times I pronounce this name.
Takashi
So
Miyake. Yeah, it's like a subtle nod to Takashi Miike because I didn't want to use his exact same name. I always liked the idea of a band name sounding like a person's name, you know? And a
yeah,
lot of bands have done that. Retrospectively, I probably should have chosen something that sounded more like the music. It wasn't the most thought out thing. Like I didn't think anyone was going to hear it, so I wasn't like plotting a career. If I had been doing that, I probably would have made different choices.
yeah.
It just kind of happened and but I like the name. I stand by it. I think it's cool.
Oh,
And
I
I
think
love
it's a great name. Oh,
thank you.
totally.
And I love Takashi Miike's movies and yeah, I hope
Yeah,
he hears music someday. I love him.
it would be great, wouldn't it?
I know. I love to
One of
talk to him.
one of my
So
favorite things he did isn't even a feature length, but do you remember his Masters of Horror short that he did?
I don't
It
think
was
I saw that.
no. Oh my goodness. Oh man, now it's gonna kill me what the name of it is. Um, I'm not gonna remember. I remember the Dario Argento one was Jennifer. Oh man, it's I'm gonna have to look it up and send it
Yeah,
to you.
send it to me. He's definitely one of the masters of horror cinema, though. I mean, he's incredible, but also like I talk about the movie 13 Assassins a lot because I think it's I love people that can do different genre movies so excellently because I think to do genre movies, you have to really understand story. Because people like poo-poo genre movies, like as if they're like not like that again, high art, like they're not as artsy as somebody's art film. Um, but I hate that because I think that genre movies to be good, they actually require the person to like really understand storytelling and genre movies generally have that classic format, like a hero's journey or like revenge or they're very classic and I'm a person who loves classic storytelling. So those movies are for me and a lot of the Takashi Miike ones are about revenge and they're great.
Yeah, absolutely. No, whenever someone kind of comes down on especially horror, like I feel like people talk down on horror all the time. Like I'll start naming things, or like I'll show someone like like an extended scene, like the opening scene to or I'm going to mention Argento again, but the opening scene to the 77 Suspiria. And I'm just like, look at the camera movement, look
Fury
at
is
the
amazing.
it's unbelievable how like just some of the setups and you know, and but what always happens whenever I show people something like that is the same thing, like when someone says they don't like rap and I play them
Oh,
the
terrible
roots.
thing to say.
You know what I mean? Like, but you play them the roots and they go, well, that's different because they play instruments. Or I'll show them the Argento and they go, well, that's different because he's a good director. And it's like, yeah, but all of it has its place. Like, it's so hard to, you know.
No, you're so right about horror. All that stuff is, most of the people that I know appreciate horror.
Yeah.
The art snobs, I don't have time for them.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would so much rather watch an entertaining movie than somebody's art film. I would rather watch The Holiday. Most people's like art films suck. I don't know what to say about it.
I completely agree. It was one of the problems I had when I was in college and I was studying film was like, you know, I was the guy who wanted to watch a lot of genre and watch a lot of like, you know, I think Clerks by Kevin Smith is just this absolutely brilliant film, and everybody'd be like, well, you're just, you know, you're not really into film then. And it's like, okay, I am.
I like to be entertained. So
Yeah.
I like movies that are entertaining. And sometimes I don't judge things based on like what company puts them out or who's directing it. I like really go in kind of open-minded and I like to be entertained. And sometimes big Hollywood movies are really entertaining and fun. And sometimes they aren't, you know, like
Yeah.
kind of take it, you know, and I've gone to see movies where I thought I didn't like the director or I thought that director was annoying and I was won over. You know, I'm surprised all the time and I like to be surprised. I like people to prove me wrong and I try to keep an open mind, you know. And there's certain people who, you know, I don't like it's a weird thing like where I actually kind of don't like their movies, but I think they're good filmmakers, so I'll go and see the movie in the theater to support, you know, filmmaking and to you know, be part of that process.
Absolutely. I do that all the time. Like it's same thing with musicians. Like there's musicians who like I appreciate their musicianship and I even appreciate their songwriting, even if I don't gel with it, because like I see the talent and I understand and like sometimes I just like watching people take swings, even if they don't make contact.
I think that people who do things with like a lot of commitment and where they really, you know, in filmmaking, where they really create a full world, or if it's in music too, like really where you can tell they've really put thought into it and they're bringing you into their world. And you can, whether it's a movie or music or, you know, a book, whatever, you can really sense that. Even if I don't personally appreciate the worldview or it's not my thing, I still appreciate like what went into it and the, you know, this dog, he's so
So you know, working or having this compassion for film and stuff like that. Like I just watched the Leslie Stevens video that you directed, which is fantastic. That's so much fun.
that was a re-
The so like what I know you were working on trying to secure funding on your first feature. What's the status of the short?
So the short's partially funded. We just need a little more money to like roll into production. But you know, we have a finished script and it's right now it's on the Film Independent website. So we have like fiscal sponsorship through them, so we can take 501c donations from investors, which is a helpful process when you're trying to make a short because shorts don't really make money. So it's easier to get people to donate to get like a tax-free donation or, you know,
Yeah.
the 501c thing. So that was exciting that they brought us on board, you know, Film Independent. They do the Independent Spirit Awards. So it's very cool. And yeah, that film is I'm hoping I would love to get it done this year. It's very possible it could happen, but it might happen next year. So it's always a process with waiting, you know. And I have a feature that's in development too. So we'll see what happens first. I'm gonna make the short even if I make the feature first, because I have the short is like a real passion project.
Yeah. What's kind of the premise behind it
For the short,
for the short? Yeah.
so it's about two women. One is a woman in her 20s and one is an older woman in her, 80s. And they have a happenstance meeting at a cemetery and just have a conversation about life that sort of alters the mindset of the younger woman.
Oh, it sounds
So
incredible.
yeah, it's like a sweet kind of slice of life little moment.
Yeah, those are honestly my favorite kind of like a meditative film, kind of just taking a moment. I wrote this screenplay way back in the day that I never actually. It was going to be something I was going to try to put together, and then I didn't. Is really what it came down to. Instead, I just self-published it in a collection of other things that I had written and never did anything with. But it was literally just about two people who, kind of meet and spend a day together. And then I wrote it, I finished it, I felt really proud of it. And then someone said, "Have you ever seen Before Sunrise?" And I was like, "No."
Yeah,
And I
I
was
was
like,
just thinking of that
"Yeah."
when you said that.
Well, mine has a little twist to it. It's like Before Sunrise meets Sliding Doors.
Oh, I
Um,
love
so,
that.
so it
I
was
love
it
both
was
of those.
it was more about seeing the same situation through the perspective of both the male and female character, and how it played out.
Yeah, I mean, both those movies are great. And also, I think you could make a movie about people meeting and spending a day together um, that's different than, God, what is this? I watched this movie recently that was so wild where it's like, what's the name of it? I'd have to look on my letterboxd. The guy, these people meet and they're supposed to go on a date, but like the world is ending. And it's Miracle Mile. This is the name of this movie. And it's like all in LA and it's all shot within like literally probably 1 mile on like Wilshire. It's great if you want to see some 80s LA. It's a silly movie, but I enjoyed it.
It's awesome. I got to check that out. The
Yeah.
you seem to be always working. I read that you kind of keep office hours for your
Yes,
creativity. How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that for years. I was inspired by Nick Cave. Well, and, you hear that quote. I think it was Francis Ford Coppola, like that you have to like work at the same time every day so that the muse can find you. Um, I've heard Lana Del Rey talk about that. And a lot of people that I really admire, keep to that. They keep to regular writing, and a lot of the time, for me, a lot of the time, nothing happens. Like it's a fail. But because I do different things, I'm able to. There goes my dog again. I'm able to. Sometimes I do music, and sometimes I'll be working on a script, or it's nice to be able to go back and forth if you're burnt out in one area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I keep those hours and I try to work each day.
Yeah, it's incredible, and like your output, not just the Tashaki stuff, but also the film, and then you put together this Love LA compilation. How did that
Yeah.
come about? Because that's just that's an awesome piece of vinyl. First of all,
Oh,
I'm
thank
glad I
you.
own that. But how did
Oh,
how did
yeah.
that come about?
I'm so happy that record is reaching people, and several people have told me that same thing, and I'm really happy to hear it because this was a true, just kind of a passion project, a little labor of love. So me and Rick Ross, I know, that does delicious vinyl and has the delicious pizza, and is a kind of pillar of the music community. A cool guy. I've known him forever. I met him when I was in Stone Darling. Like he and this friend of his, they had this space. I can't remember what the space is called. My memory of like 2009 is blurry. Um, but they had this space where we would play. The band would play there, And and so I got to know him back then. And so during the pandemic, we were texting and, we were talking. There was a lot going on during the pandemic. There was like, first of all, the pandemic. And we had Trump as our president, which
Yeah.
which we might have again. I mean, there's that. And then there's BLM is happening. There's just so much like social upheaval. And I think people were feeling scared and upset and rightly so. And I felt very just like small and like, what can I do? And so we were texting about that feeling of like not being able to do enough as one person. And then I like to be in solution with my big feelings. So it's like, what can we do that's for our community where we can directly do something? And so Rick works with Fernando Pullum and is passionate about that cause. And I am a fan of it. I've seen some of their stuff and it's amazing. So that was the charity we chose to give the money from this record to. So that was our idea. It was like, let's make something for the community. And so it's like, okay, well, let's make a record for Record Store Day. And then we got ORG Music involved. It took a long time, because I think it took 2 years or something to fully come out from the time that we had the idea till the time it came out, partially because of the pandemic and partially because we had to get the right tracks together. It takes time for artists to turn them in. So I basically just reached out to the people in my community and was like, hey, we want to make this compilation record for Record Store Day. It's going to be a vinyl. It's going to go to this charity. And everyone was pretty game. So I curated the track list and it was just I was really excited. I think that the people that signed on and the music that they made is so awesome. And I did sequence the record as well, and I really put thought into that. So because I wanted it to be something that you could just put on and it would have a flow, as a listener. So and I think it does. Like I've listened to
Absolutely.
vinyl a lot, and it feels like it's a story, like as you listen to it. So that's how that came about, and everyone has been so positive about it. I think they sold out through RG Music, but I think there might be some available through third-party sellers, or independent record stores might still have a few copies left. But because it did well, I get to do another one. So I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what that will be, or I haven't really started planning it yet. I probably should because it takes 2 years apparently. Maybe I can do this one in 1 year. In 1 year. But yeah, that was just a little community project that we did for just joy.
That's awesome, and you can hear kind of that joy in it. So I have to ask for my co-host on Too Old Too New. How did you get Mark Maron to agree to do a song with you?
I just asked him.
Yeah.
That's all. So Mark has like a little blues band, or I know a band he does at Largo, and I know all the guys in that band. They're like old friends from like the music scene. And, Mark and I have a few mutual friends. Like one of his old friends is married to my friend. So it's not like it's not like a crazy, person. But I had my label send him a record, Castaway, the Tashaki record. And like, I totally actually forgot that even happened. And then he posted it on his stories. Like he posts people's music that send him their music. And people sent that to me and I was like, oh, cool. And then I DM'd him and was like, thank you. And he was like, your record's cool. And then we were just talking about music and we ended up meeting up and talking about music. And then when this thing came up, I was thinking of like who would be an interesting person to do a duet with. And I just like thought of him. And I didn't think he would say yes, but he did.
That's incredible.
It was really funny too, because I think I talked about this with him, but like when we were planning it, he came over to Dan Horn, who plays in Circles Around the Sun and also does Grateful Shred, which is like I would say the number one Grateful Dead cover band, in my opinion. They're really great if you're into that. But so Dan has a studio where we've worked with him a lot. He did The Dream, and we've just made a lot of recordings with him. And he's Luke's best friend, my bandmate. And so he has a studio at his house, and Mark came over there. And when we were planning it, he's like, okay, so I have an hour. And I was like, Mark, it takes longer than an hour to like record a song. And he's like, okay, well, we could do 3 hours. So I was super nervous because usually like we do 8 hour days in the studio. So I'm not used to working that fast, but we did it really fast. So we did it kind of old fashioned where it was pretty live.
Oh,
And I mean, I always like to track the band live, but I mean, we recorded our vocals like side by side, just like old school, because there wasn't time.
yeah. That's
Because
incredible. I mean,
yeah,
it
I'd be
sounds,
able to get back in there. So I was just like, okay, we got to just do it fast.
yeah, it sounds perfect. I mean, like
Yeah.
you would never know that you were under a time constraint with it. It sounds
Yeah.
so good.
We had one rehearsal before that. And I mean, I think I actually appreciated the time constraint because I think that is a way people used to make records, like where you would just do a lot at once and it makes people be on their toes. I liked it. I've had a few times where I did stuff fast and it came out really good. So I appreciate that. And I hope to get to record with Mark again. He's really fun to record music with. He's still excited about music, which is really sweet.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, the song selection on it is perfect too. Throughout the whole compilation, which also is a question I had for you because you know you have the covers collections that you've done and all. You what do you look for in a cover? Not just a cover to play, but a cover to actually track, which is you know a completely different thing. I mean, to just
Yeah.
play the song's one thing, but
I just like songs that I like, you know. A couple of the covers that ended up on those were requested, you know, like people requested them. After we recorded I Only Have Eyes for You and Unsatisfied, which was for, I don't know how to say that word, the aquarium drunkard thing, the laying of pink. I don't know how to say
I don't
that
know how
word.
to say it. Yeah.
No one, Justin, no one knows how to say that. So we did those for that session. And I Only Have Eyes for You, like went pretty viral. And so because of that, and it's one of our most licensed recordings. And so the publisher from who owns the rights to I Only Have Eyes for You, the publishing house, they have a lot of older music. It was so wild. Like a lady through my sync agent, like she came to our studio and like sat with us and like gave us lists of songs, like where they fully had our support and wanted to help us record something that would get a placement. And so that was where I Can't Stand the Rain came from, because that was on the list. And I love M Peoples. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to outdo M Peoples, but they wanted it for a vampire show. So I was like, well, let's just make it totally different so that it's not being compared. Because obviously, I'm not going to try to do that. You know, you're just not gonna.
What?
But I like the idea of making it totally different. And so, like people listening to it, you know, like the younger people don't know a lot of the older music. So a good song is a good song, is how I see it. But so a couple of those tracks were requests. The NXS song was a request. The I Can't Stand the Rain, and a couple of them were. And then the other ones, it's just like songs that I like, just where they're, you know, I'll just be like, oh, I really love this song. Let's track it. And we have a full amount of unreleased ones still, but I've been hesitant to put it out because like last time we put out a record, The Guardian wrote a review and it was a positive review, but it was like to Shocky Miyaki, much more than a covers band. And I
Uh,
was not a covers band. Like I just, you know, had all these songs that we had recorded and I wanted to give them to the fans for free because I'm really slow at making records. Like some people put out like a record every year, every 2 years. And historically, I've been slower than that, which I feel bad about. So I wanted to give people something that they could listen to.
Yeah.
So so I have another one, but I hate being pegged as a covers band. I just love music and I love being in the recording studio. So I have a
Yeah.
lot of covers.
Well, much like the "I'll Never Leave You" cover, the other one that blew my mind from those collections was the "Beautiful Ones" cover, which
Oh,
is
thank you.
so amazing. Like,
Thank you so much.
yeah, just another one where it's bold to put those shoes on. To
Oh, I love Prince. I love Prince so much. Prince is one of my favorite artists, and um, Purple Rain again, like back to childhood, and I don't even know what to say about Prince. I just think he's one of the best artists to ever live. He's one of my biggest inspirations. I love him so much. I That song is so beautiful. I was really nervous to record it. I don't drink anymore, but I used to drink. I think I drank a whole bottle of rosé before I recorded that song because I was so nervous, especially about those high notes. But so yeah, that was. I love that. That's one of my favorite ones too. I also did a song from The Point. I did Lifeline
I
on
heard that too. Yes,
yeah.
like one of the that was one of the things is like why I mention it because like you seem to pick covers of songs that I love. So
That's so
so
cool. I mean, I just pick stuff that means something to me. Like we have God on the unreleased stuff, we have like a Richard and Linda Thompson song. We have Roxy Music. There's a Velvet song. I mean, it's a really cool. The stuff that we haven't put out is really cool. So maybe we will. I shouldn't care what reviews say. It's
I
stupid
was
of me
just
to
gonna
care
say,
about.
who at the Guardian do I have to fight to in your honor for this?
It was weird because they were giving us a really positive review of the record, but then that headline I just didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, knowing how new media works, it probably wasn't even the person who wrote that article who wrote that headline. Like
Yeah, I know. It's so silly.
yeah. So the new EP, "Good at Love," as I said, absolutely beautiful. You worked with John Bryan on it, who
Yes.
I just a few weeks ago, whenever the Paste 300, I think, is when I had this conversation where like I don't know what happened in the past few years, but I feel like people forget just how brilliant of a musician and creative John is,
Yeah.
and as a producer, and I feel like the two of you working together like it just unlocks like a portal into just pure beauty and creativity.
Thank you. That is so nice. I agree. I John is one of my favorite people on planet Earth, and he's one of my favorite musicians and songwriters. He is so endlessly inspiring and brilliant, and I've known him for 20 years. And in that whole time we've been talking about records and music and art and yeah, he knows me so well. I mean, he's one of the people that, he probably knows me better than almost anyone, and especially he knows my taste as a recording artist. So we have such a shorthand, and working with him is so easy. And I trust him so much, and I don't have to explain anything because he already knows, and I can give him, esoteric descriptions and he understands. So it's a real joy. And I have these songs, I have this record that I'm ready to finish, and it's like half done and half demos. And I would love for someone to give me money to do it with John.
Yeah.
So that's my dream to have him complete the full length.
It would be incredible. Kickstarter. I'm in. Where?
Yeah, maybe I should make that because he really is like I think he's of people who are living. There's only a handful of producers that I really love their work. Most of them are older and don't do stuff much anymore. And Jawn is really I think he's kind of peerless in the space he exists in. Like most of the people whose work I like are in a different generation. And there's not, unfortunately, for the things I'm looking for, I don't know anyone who's young who is there's people in Jawn's, you know, in his group that are making interesting stuff, obviously, like Dave Fridman and Nigel Godrich. And, there's obviously those guys,
Right.
in the type of music that Jawn generally does, I don't, and the way that he does things, I don't know who else is like him there. And the younger people haven't inspired me. I hate to say it. I don't know.
Yeah. The EP was 4 songs, and you said you have 10 for the album. Was there at any point were these 4 part of the album, or was it just these 4 were specifically kind of because they do fit sonically with each
So
other?
I wanted to put out a full record, but it started to feel like it was going to take a really long time to do that, and it was going to be more expensive than I could afford at that moment. So I wanted the EP to be like cohesive and have like a journey and make sense. And so I started imagining what that would be like and choosing songs to have like this little journey sonically. And so they were originally meant to be part of a bigger record, but the way that I chose these ones to go together, I think they fit perfectly as a collection. And the record, I started writing new songs for the record. So now what will be the Paige Stark full length record, it has moved into a different style. You know what I mean? Because it's evolved and changed because I've been writing new stuff. So I think it's perfect that these songs became their own thing, and I think it makes sense for it to be. They were all kind of recorded at different times over a long period of time. Good at Love is the most recent one, and I think I think we started tracking that during the pandemic, but the other songs were tracked earlier, and I had them like in different stages of being done, and then we just finished them all early this year, like in January.
It's incredible. I'm like I said, absolutely blown away by it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things I've heard this year, by far.
Nice. I love it too. I love working with Jawn. I just gotta say, he's the best.
It's awesome. At this time, you want to go through my Jauntlet questionnaire? This is how I close out all of my interviews. It starts with the one-hit wonders, and it's only one-hit wonder in name of segment only. First one, Billy Joel or Elton John? Who do you prefer?
Elton John.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. That makes sense. Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Debbie Harry.
I love it. Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Tina Turner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana.
Okay. Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Stevie Nicks.
I could see that one. That one kind of made sense there. The big cliche, the Beatles or the Stones?
That one is too hard for me. I don't know if I can do it.
That's acceptable. That's absolutely acceptable.
It's hard because if I had to pick one person from all those people, it would be John Lennon, you know?
Yeah, totally. I heard you say that you've been listening to instrumental music, but more primarily big band stuff recently. But Sean Lennon put out a instrumental album this year called Asterisms that's absolutely phenomenal as well.
Cool. I'll check it out.
It's a little rocky. It's got Yuka Honda on it. Like it's great. It's absolutely great.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out. I can't. I love the Beatles and the Stones for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I don't think I can, I think that's it. The love is equal.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the final one, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
I
I,
totally saw that coming.
yeah, I love Queen. Freddie Mercury is one of my favorite singers.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was when like I always wanted to be a front man in a band. And it was like I always in my head imagined that my style would be a mix between Freddie Mercury and Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
But it was never
I
meant to
have
be.
you know how like when you get into a car, sometimes your iPhone will just start playing like music that's on like your phone.
Yeah.
So I have like my ex-boyfriend's like iTunes is still on my phone because it's like it's just gotten transferred, I guess, to every literally that we're talking from like 2005. So like there's this Stone Temple Pilot song that just every time I get into a car, that's what plays.
That's incredible. Which
So
song is it?
I don't I gotta look. I don't actually know the names of all the Stone Temple Pilot songs. I think I just know a few. But by the way, I did go see them at the Irvine Amphitheater back in the day. So let's see, Stone. Okay, I'm looking to see which. Okay, so there's only two songs. So the two songs on my phone are Big Bang Baby,
Uh-huh.
Tripping on a Hole in a Paper Heart.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Both from scenes at a Vatican from a Vatican gift shop, right? Or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's what's been playing when I get into that's Frank. Frank has a lot to say. He's
Frank's a big Stone Temple Pilots fan.
he's just a vocal guy. I don't know. I have one really quiet, like perfect dog that's like really classy and sweet and quiet, and then I have this loud, boisterous guy.
It's awesome.
Tries to kill people. He's like 10 pounds, a lot of personality.
Yeah. I told you about the half Chihuahua, half Jack Russell. He's ready to fight every single person
I
in the
think
world.
that Frank might be that same kind of dog. He's definitely part Chihuahua. I think maybe and some kind of terrier.
Okay.
So maybe that and then this one that keeps climbing on me. This is the mellow one.
Adorable.
Yeah, she's like she's like floppy and quiet and sweet. I don't know.
It's great. I love dogs. They're the
Me
best.
too, they're the best.
Yeah.
Music, films, and dogs.
Yeah. The next section is the top 10 countdown. In Philadelphia, we use the word Jawn to be whatever you want it to be. It can be anything. As my friend Kevin said one time, Philadelphians use the word Jawn like Smurfs use the word Smurf. So,
Okay.
so the first one is, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were younger?
Unicorns.
Really?
I think so. I loved unicorns.
That's incredible. Number two, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
What am I into right now? I don't even know. What am I into? I don't know I don't know. Is that
Okay.
weird?
No,
I'm
it's
in,
not weird at all.
I'm skincare. I'm a lady, you know. I love my skincare routine.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I do.
Absolutely. Number three, what was your first concert? But you said John Prine, so
Hi.
that's an amazing first concert. Number two, what was your last concert? What was the last live show you saw?
What was the last live show I saw? The last live show I saw, I was at my own show. Is it bad that I can't remember? Does this mean I'm getting old?
That's exactly what happens. It happens all the time. I go to shows all the time, and I couldn't like I forget all the time.
Well, I saw Andre 3000 in February in Chicago at a
How was that?
museum. It was incredible. I think that was maybe the last like real, like, you know, like a fancy show that I went to, like that wasn't just a, you know, buddies at the club vibe.
Yeah,
It was amazing. I loved
that's
it.
awesome. That is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Number five, what was your favorite concert? Best live show you ever saw?
Best live show. that is a really hard question because I have seen many of my favorite artists. So one of my most memorable was seeing Neil Young with Crazy Horse in Vancouver, because Canada, I had like seeing Neil Young with the Canadians. I was also on mushrooms at the time, so it was like extra heightened. So I'm gonna go with that. And
That's
also
awesome.
the Neil, I went twice when he did the kind of solo gigs at the Kodak a few years back, and that was equally really, really beautiful. He's my favorite, so that's every time I see him is really special. I got my tickets to the bowl in September. Really excited.
Very cool. Very cool. I love it. Number six, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead.
David Bowie.
Oh, really? Yeah. I
And
like I said, the first two. So the first time I saw him was in 1983. Now I was 6 years old, so I or 5 or 6 years old. So I don't really have too much of a memory of it. But
yeah.
that was the Serious Moonlight tour, and then I saw him on the Glass Spider tour in 1987,
Oh,
and that blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. He was just such an incredible person. And you know what I just rewatched was, you ever see that clip of him on MTV with Mark Goodman asking why they don't play more black videos? It's
I have,
it's so perfect.
he was a really interesting, profound person. And I love him so much. Like, I love him so much that it like makes me ache. Like, that one I'm very sad that I missed him. It's definitely something I've thought about after not seeing him live when he passed. It was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I have to go see the guys. Like I
Yeah.
have to, and so I very seriously do that now. Like I've seen a lot of my heroes in concert. I've made a real effort to do that. And the big ones I try to see every time they're in town, because you just don't know. These guys are getting up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. You know, Bowie, and it's funny you mentioned Labyrinth because I just watched that Jim Henson documentary on Disney Plus, and like Bowie is someone much like Jim Henson who just was so creative in every single thing they did that like it's so inspiring, and I'd like wish I could tap like a fraction of that in my life.
That movie is really an important movie, I think. I think it has like feminist undertones, and I think that seeing that movie as a little girl, where she thinks that she's in love with this king, like she thinks that that's the vibe, and he offers her like this kind of magical reality, like when they're in the bubble, and it's like the metaphor is so like amazing, like they're in a bubble and she's in the gown, and she realizes that she needs to choose herself and her life and like save her brother. And the line that just kills me is just when she says, "You have no power over me." And that's what brings her back to herself. I mean, what a great message.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's such a
beautiful.
good message.
It's absolutely beautiful, and like I feel, and uncharacteristically so for the time period as well. You
Oh,
know, like
God. That movie and Annie Hall had such an impact on me, and I think are really powerful movies. I know people have this controversy about Woody Allen, but I'm sorry, he's a great filmmaker. I don't know what to say about that. And Annie Hall is such an incredible movie because it was one of the first, romantic comedies that I saw where the woman at the end of the movie chooses herself. Like she doesn't go back with him. She's not interested. She's moved to California. She's hanging out with Paul Simon, like, or whatever his character is in that movie. You know what I mean? It's like, it's, she's, and it's not sad. She's not sad about it. She's not regretting it. She's not second guessing herself. She's like, sorry, I'm
yeah,
staying here. And
yeah,
I hadn't seen that before in a movie because the 90s and 2000s were full of films that were about, getting the guy, and that's the happy ending. So, and then as I got more into movies from different eras, I found a lot of interesting movies that have those kinds of themes. And Unmarried Woman is like that. More recently, I think Lady Bird has that kind of ending, and I'm excited that there's people are making more movies that are not about that's the happy ending. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, yeah. It was to me. It was like one of the most um, awesome choices of that Greta did for Barbie, which was not making it a Barbie and Ken movie, but making it strictly a Barbie movie, trying to define what Barbie is and can be. And I thought that was just
I
brilliant.
loved Barbie. I cried during Barbie. I wasn't expecting to like it. Um, I know a lot of people didn't feel this way, but I really, I just thought she did such a great job, and I was really moved by the film, and I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was entertaining. I loved the cast. Ryan Gosling was incredible. I mean, I just, wow, just and the production design, everyone involved did such a great job. I love the Billie Eilish song. I mean, it was for me, it was like a home run.
Yeah, that scene between Barbie and Rhea Perlman is
Yes.
just it just pulls at the heart, man, and
It
looks beautiful too.
it totally does. There's a lot of great moments in that movie. I thought it was a really fun movie when you get like, everyone has their opinions about Barbie, but I mean, I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. Number seven, what name an unappreciated John? Something you wish had more shine to it.
And this can be anything.
Anything you want it to be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it's unappreciated, but an artist that I really love who a lot of people don't know is Sparkle Horse. I don't know if it's like totally unappreciated, but I'm a big fan of Mark Linkous, and I bring it up a lot, and a lot of people don't know his music, so I guess that will be my answer.
Fantastic answer. I love it. Number eight, what's your favorite album?
Oh my goodness, my favorite album. That is such a hard question. I have a list in my phone of favorite albums, so I'm gonna look at it.
Okay.
I, I keep a list of this. I don't know why I keep this. I think it's like, oh, here, this one's called Some Records That Changed My Life. Can I just read some of them? Because I don't.
Absolutely. I would love that.
Okay, so here's some records that changed my life. Maybe I'll just read the whole list. Blue, Joni Mitchell. Purple Rain by Prince. Among My Swan, Massey Star. Hounds of Love, Kate Bush. Calypso, Harry Belafonte. Avalon, Roxy Music. Plastic Ono Band, which is John Lennon. Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg. Dummy by Portishead. Homogenic by Bjork. Loveless, My Bloody Valentine. Loaded, Velvet Underground, and the third Velvet Underground record. OK Computer, Radiohead, The Boatman's Call, it's Nick Cave, Blood on the Tracks, which is Bob Dylan, The Point, Harry Nilsson, After the Gold Rush, Neil Young, Mule Variations, Tom Waits, Time, The Revelator by Gillian Welch, Elvis at Sun, It's a Wonderful Life, Sparkle Horse, Hunky Dory, David Bowie, Transformer, Lou Reed, The Slider, T-Rex, Nevermind, Nirvana, and Surfer Rosa, the Pixies.
That is a stellar list. I
Thank you.
love it. By the way, I said we have this weird connection where we seem to like the same things. I never
Yeah.
meet anybody who throws Loaded as their favorite Velvet Underground album, but that is 100% my favorite.
Yeah. So Loaded, and then the third, the Velvet Underground record, that's just the Velvet
The self
Underground.
title. Yeah.
Um, so the thing about Loaded is that that was just so I the this family lived across the street from me, the Leochis, Marina and Johanna Leochi were my neighbors, and their dad was a writer, and I think he wrote for the LA Times, and their parents were cool. It was the first parents that I met that like their house didn't look like other parents. They had like books and records and like stacks of records like everywhere. And it was really exciting to be in their house. It was like a Candyland. And the first time I heard the Velvet Underground was Marina's dad listening to the Velvet Underground. And I was like, what is this? And it was incredible. So and it was and so the first record I bought of the Velvet Underground was Loaded. And I had it in my car in high school. Like, and this is back, the car I had in high school was like the kind of car where like the it's a multi-disc changer and it's in the trunk.
Yeah.
You know, so you had to like take out, like to change the CDs was the thing. So you would just leave it. You would just leave for like months, whatever was in there. You know what I mean? So I had that double disc, the Loaded with the bonus with the demos and stuff that had that really cool, like I Found a Reason, the demo
Yes.
version, kind of like Dylan-y almost. And I just loved it. I loved, so I think I just listen. It reminds me of being a teenager. It was like the first record of the Velvets that I obsessively listened to. The third one too, but for some reason I didn't have that one on CD. I don't know why.
That's
And
wild.
I mean, it was expensive to buy CDs when I was a kid. You know, CDs were like $20 and up, and I was working with like kid allowance and I mean young people today. $20 back then was like probably like $50 now. You know, it was like more money. And I don't know. I think minimum wage was like $6 an hour or something. So
Right.
it was like a lot to buy a CD, you know.
Of course. It's so great that you mentioned that bonus disc because talking about screenplays, I wrote this screenplay in college called Here Comes the Ocean that I wrote entirely to that bonus disc. like,
That bonus disc is really, really cool.
yeah.
Actually, the bonus tracks on The Point is where I first heard the demo of I'll Never Leave You, where Harry Nilsson is just playing piano and singing. And so when I went to recover that song, that was a reference for me and Jawn and I. But we kind of combined the Nilsson Schmilsson one with that one because that demo doesn't have the outro.
Yeah.
So we kind of made our own arrangement for
And by
both
the
of them.
way, the video for that also, I completely forgot to mention that you shot is just incredible.
Thank you. I my friend Fabian Gostemeyer, she's an incredible actress and director and just cool, creative woman. We've been friends for a very long time, and I'm so happy that she and uh, Vito, the cinematographer, came on board for that, and we shot that on mini DV because sort of was like, okay, I guess we had spent a bunch of money on the film on the black and white zombie one. So I'd kind of exhausted my budget. So, and I didn't know what to expect, but conceptually, I was like, let's make something David Lynchy. And then we got another friend of ours, my friend Daniel Katz, who is a brilliant animator, helped us with the effects because he, being an animator, he knew how to do all this stuff that we were kind of imagining happening. So
It's so cool. It is
thank
so cool.
I really love it too. I love it came out.
Yeah, it turned out great.
Thank you.
The ninth of the top 10 countdown. Name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
Lana Del Rey.
Yeah.
I love Lana. I get excited when her records come out. I'm always excited to hear what she's up to.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm really interested to hear what this country Lana sounds like.
I know, is she gonna do it though? Because I saw an interview where someone asked her about Lasso, and she seemed like maybe because so many other artists had put out country records that maybe she wasn't going to, but I hope she does. Her take is always going to be, I think she's really, really interesting. And I love all her records and I'm interested to see where she's going. So I hope she puts it out.
Yeah, me
She's
too. Absolutely. Absolutely. The 10th and final of the top 10 countdown. What is your favorite Jawn of all time? Again, it can be anything you want it to be.
Ice cream. I don't know.
Yeah? What flavor?
Um, I don't know. That changes. I just love ice cream. I don't know. That's such a hard question. Mint chip.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I've
Or
been,
they have this one at Jenny's that's seasonal called Savannah Buttermint. And it tastes like, I don't know. Do you remember like the mints in Chinese restaurants that were like pastel colored?
yeah,
It's a really specific thing. I don't know. I don't know if they still do that. I feel like now people don't have things where you can just like put your hand in them.
yeah.
But when I was a kid, for some reason, they always had those mints at the Chinese restaurant, and that's what that ice cream tastes like.
That sounds phenomenal. I'm a bizarre like every time we go to an ice cream place, my wife always makes fun of me because she's always like, "You get the weirdest." Because I'm one of those I'll do like the black raspberry is a big one that I'm in on, or like
Yeah.
black cherries and any kind of fruit like kind of ice cream is my.
I think my real favorite John of all time is just like it's connected to ice cream, but it's just like a really great meal, like a great meal with friends. Like that's like my favorite thing.
That's brilliant. I love it.
And with the ice cream, but like I think that's a more appropriate answer. I love like a really nice dinner party, great conversation, delicious food, and then ice cream for dessert.
That's It's beautiful. So the EP "Good at Love" is out now, and videos for all 4 tracks on it as well. So definitely, people should check that out. If anybody wants to track you down on the internet, what's the best way to find you?
Well, I have a website. It's drpaigestark.com. I'm on Instagram as Dr. Paige Stark, and I just started a new Instagram for my film work. That's Paige Stark. Yeah, and then of course on the streaming services, you can find me as Paige Stark or Tashaki Miyake.
It's incredible. And we'll have links, of course, to all of those in the show notes for everybody. So thank you so much for doing this, Paige. And not just for doing this and talking to me, but for creating just incredible music and keeping the creativity flowing because,
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. This has been a real pleasure. What a pleasant, nice podcast to be on. I really enjoyed talking with you. We have so much in common.
my many, many thanks again to Paige for joining me on the show today. Paige's latest EP, "Good at Love," is available now on all streaming services. And you can find the music videos for all the songs on the EP on her YouTube channel at Dr. Paige Stark. And of course, you can follow her on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook as well at Dr. Paige Stark. Visit www.drpaigestark.com for more info. Links, of course, to all of those will, as always, be in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And guys, it is never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for citizenship of the world just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for the link tree with links to articles, merchandise, all of the previous episodes of this podcast, guest appearances on other podcasts, and more. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, Twitter X at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out, and touch some Jawn. All right, y'all. Firework safety. By the next time we speak, I want y'all to be sure to have as many fingers and toes as you do right now, you hear? Blue skies. Until next time, everybody. That's my Jawn. Displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. You taste it, things that don't need to be measured. Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production. Written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by me, under the moniker Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Maggie Poulos, Dan Drago, Natalie Runkle, and the beautifully vibrant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com or hit us up on the socials at yothat'smyjawn. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Tilt your head back and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.